Okay, so we've now covered the product rule for differentiating, and that's when you've got two things that have been multiplied together and you need to differentiate it. Okay, so the next topic is something called the quotient rule, and yeah, you've guessed it, it's where we've got two things that have been divided by each other and we need to differentiate it. So for example, in question 1 that I've posted for the notes, we've got a fraction. Okay, so I've got two things that's been divided by each other. Okay, now there's another formula that's coming up that you need to remember. Okay, and it's very similar to this. Okay, so it's still u dash v, still u v dash, but instead of an add in the middle, what we're going to have is a minus, and we're going to put it all over v squared. Okay, so the actual working for this is the exact same as the product rule, but a slightly different formula. Now, it is essential that you write this formula down for every question. You don't get any marks for it, but the more you write it down, the more you'll start to remember it. Okay, so that's the formula we're going to use for something called the quotient rule, and that's when you get two things that's been divided by each other. So I'm just going to rub this out quickly. I've posted the notes on Google Classrooms, so if you can get that copied in for me. And I'm going to go through the first example with you. Okay, so I'll just write this down. So it's y equals 2x take 3, and that's all squared over x plus 2 squared. Okay, so that's just the exact same question as question 1. Okay, so feel free to pause this and work through it yourself. The first part is actually the exact same as the product rule. Okay, so we're going to write down u and v at this side. So u is just going to be whatever is the numerator, so whatever's on top. Okay, so it's just going to be 2x take 3 squared, and v is just whatever's on the bottom. Oh, not really give myself much space here. Hold on a sec. So I'll do u here. So 2x take 3 squared. Okay, same rules as before. Let's work out u dash, then work out v dash. Okay, so we need to use the product rule, not the product rule, sorry, the chain rule for both of these to differentiate it. So multiply by the power, keep the bracket the same, reduce the power by 1, multiply by the derivative of this bracket, which is just 2. Let's get that tidied up a bit. Okay, so 2 times 2 gives you 4. Brackets is the same, and that's all to the power of 1. So let's keep it as that. Same here. So multiply by the power, keep the bracket the same, reduce the power by 1. So that just goes to 1. Multiply by the derivative of the bracket, which is just this. Okay, so that's just exact same working for the product rule as it is the quotient rule. Okay, so derivative of y is just dy by dx. And again, the more you write down this formula, the more you'll remember it. So it's just diagonally. So u dash v take away u v dash all over v squared. Okay. Only thing we say here is just be careful of the brackets, be careful of the negative sign as well. Okay. So u dash v. So u dash is going to be this. So 4 2x take 3 times v, which is just that bracket. So let's just keep it in that. Take away, and it's take away u v dash, which is these two. Okay, so I'm just going to bring that 2 to the front here just to make it a little bit tidy. So 2x take 3 squared, and I've got x plus 2. Okay, and a lot of people forget about this bottom part, but that all needs to go over v squared. Now, this bracket is already been squared, so what we're doing essentially is squaring that. Okay, but we don't need to write this down, we can just go straight to the answer. If you find the power of a power, you need to multiply them. So 2 times 2 is just 4. Okay, now if the question says differentiate and simplify, you would not get full marks for this question, okay, because there's more simplifying that could be done here, right? So if we forget about the bottom, let's just look at the top for now, right? Have a look, do we have any highest common factors? Look at numbers first. I've got a 4 here, and I've got a 2. So 2 can go into both of them. This bracket, 2x take 3, that appears in both brackets. So let's pull that out the front as a highest common factor, and the other bracket appears in both. So let's keep that there. Okay, I'm just going to open up big square brackets because I find that easier when you take out highest common factors. So if you've pulled this part out the front from this part, what would you be left with? So you'd just be left with a 2, because 2 times 2 gives you 4. You've pulled that bracket out the front, so that's fine. You've pulled one of those brackets out from here. You're just left with x plus 2. Okay, remember it's a takeaway. And again, if you've pulled that out from this part, all you're left with is 2x take 3. Okay, keep your denominator the same. So keep that as x plus 2 to the power of 4. Okay, so let's tidy up these square brackets up a little bit. So I'm going to keep this front part the same. So keep that as 2x take 3 x plus 2. Let's look at square brackets here. So I'm just going to do this in my head, multiply this out, and then take them away. But remember this double negative in here as well. So if you've got 2x, take away 2x, just gives you 0, so that's fine. 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, so I've got 4, take away minus 3. Okay, so that's going to give me like 4 plus 3, which is 7. Like here. Okay, now obviously not getting full marks at this stage. There's still a little bit more simplifying that can be done here, and I've actually ran out of space. So what you can do is you can pause this video, look at what I've got at the top. What I'm going to do is just rub out this top part, and I'll finish off the question just up here. Okay, so obviously you won't do this for your working, you'll just do it underneath here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is the 2 and the 7, they can be multiplied together to give 14, just an equal sign. What was simplified, right? If you look at the top and the bottom, I've got an x plus 2 at the top, and I've got 4 of those x plus 2s. So let's simplify one of them and one of them. Okay, so you've still got your 2x take 3, and I've cancelled off one of them, and I've cancelled off one of them. So I've got, oh, why was I doing 3? Oops. X plus 2 cubed. Okay, and there is nothing else we can do to simplify this further, and we are finished.